early morning. There's something sacred about the silence before the world wakes up, when the sky is still dark and everything around you is asleep. That's your moment. That's when champions are made. While others are drowning in dreams, you're wide awake, chasing reality. You're not waiting for the sun to rise. You are the sunrise.
Waking up at 5 a.m. or even other times earlier that I've heard, like 4, I've heard 3:50, one influencer, was it Ashton Hall? I forget exactly. In the online self-improvement community. It's something that you hear thrown around all the time. Get up early in the morning if you want to build self-discipline. And it's associated with, the soldiers get up early to go and kill the enemy. You get up early to go attack your day. It's essentially associated with the image of everyone else is resting. Everyone else is still asleep because it's very early. And you are already up and doing things. And limiting rest has been known by monks for a long time, and now by people who are very much not monks, but taking the same advice. It's true that not resting overly much and building up a certain level of self-discipline do definitely have a connection. They do definitely have a correlation, but not in the way that you think. Where does the association with waking up, especially waking up early, and discipline come from? Because when your alarm rings in the morning, you're immediately presented with a choice. You have the choice to either remain in bed another while longer, and because your pillow is just so soft and your blanket is just so warm, right when you're asleep, you're comfortable and you feel fine. And that's one option. And the other option is getting up immediately and attacking the day, all these buzz terms they use, getting up and getting to work. So a lot of people start their day with a cold shower. I personally do. But that's the choice you have. You can either stay in bed and lose all the time that you could be spending working, or get up and work and get things done. And training yourself to make decisions like this and to pick to work when you could rest and when you could remain comfortable is obviously something that is going to create self-improvement, but this has nothing to do with the time that you do it at. Why do undisciplined people generally get up later than disciplined people? It's often not that the undisciplined people are simply sleeping the same amount, but they're getting up later. Often the undisciplined people go to bed at a very similar time than the disciplined person, or later, or earlier. Undisciplined people often have more variable go to sleep and wake up times, but they're not actually sleeping the same time and then just happening to get up later. And then the difference between them and the disciplined person is actually just the hours that they sleep between, rather than how many hours they sleep. The important part is that undisciplined people sleep a lot more than disciplined people do. Because disciplined people sleep as much as they have to sleep. They sleep as much as they need to so that they can get up and feel well rested and think clearly, do things well, so that they can be recovered from the workouts that they're doing. Whereas undisciplined people just sleep until they don't feel like sleeping anymore. So they'll sleep like 11 hours in a day instead of 7 or 8. And so an undisciplined person puts off making that decision to force themselves out of bed until it's an easy decision to make, until it's a decision that feels good to make because you just don't feel like being in bed anymore because you've already taken a lot more time to rest than you need to. This gets to the heart of how sleep actually relates to self-improvement. The act of forcing yourself out of bed when you haven't rested 11 hours, when you haven't rested so much that your body just can't stay in bed anymore, that your body doesn't feel like doing it anymore, when you do it even when you don't feel like doing so, and when the first thing you do every day at the same time, following a strict schedule, is that decision to do the thing that you don't really physically feel like doing in the moment, but that you know will improve you, that is what creates improvement. That is what creates discipline. And the point I'm trying to drive home here is that it doesn't matter what time you do this from. If you work a graveyard shift and you go to bed at 4 a.m. and you get up at 11, you slept 7 hours. You were not resting, or at least you're probably not resting, depending on who you are, that much more than what your body really needs. You're taking as much time as you need for your body to be able to grow and to be able to function properly, to be able to recover from whatever you're doing throughout the day, and no more. You're leaving the rest of the time that you have for the work that you have to do. Are you really going to say that this person who works the night shift is not a disciplined person? Most people who work the night shift, it's not fun jobs generally. It's generally jobs that require you to be seriously willing to work, because those are the jobs nobody else is willing to work. Not only does it not matter the time that you get up at when it comes to building discipline, when it comes to living a life in society in general, and I know, society in general, people on the self-improvement spheres of the internet really hate the idea of paying any mind, giving any respect to society in general. You're not better than society. You are a member of society. No, I am the super double sigma alpha who exists outside of the pack. Shut up. You're a member of society just like the rest of us. You're a more normal person than you think you are. Get over it. And functioning within society, most other people get up and go to bed around certain times. And if your times are way, way different from this, people who work the night shift experience this as well, just as well as people who go to bed at 8 and wake up at 4 like Jocko Willink. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to work with other people that you're going to be missing out on. If you have a job, your boss might message you at 10 p.m. If you're already in bed at 10 p.m., you're going to miss that. That's just how the world works. Other people are awake at 10 p.m. And it may make you feel more disciplined to already be asleep by then so that you can wake up before them and then be awake while they're asleep. But they're also awake while you're asleep. It's just later, so it doesn't feel like they're being more disciplined than you are. They could be, though. If you're taking more rest than you need to, and they're not, if they're forcing themselves awake more than you are, they're building more discipline than you are whenever they're going to bed, and you are causing yourself to miss out on opportunities that you might not miss out on if you were to align your go to bed and wake up times more with society itself. Deciding I'm going to bed at this super early time and waking up at this super early time is also something that I think can create a feeling of I'm already such a disciplined person. Oh my God, look at me. You can say to people, I wake up at 5 a.m. and they're like, wow, so disciplined. And that pumps up your ego, which generally feeds into everything that goes against anything that builds discipline. And it gives you a kind of excuse to not actually focus on building discipline because you feel like you've already got it. I'm already better than these other people. I don't really need to get any better than I currently am. This is the biggest pitfall that ego in all its forms, not just this form, any form that ego comes against you. This is the biggest pitfall, the biggest roadblock that ego puts in your way. It makes you feel like you've already done the work, so you don't need to do anything else when you've barely done 1%. Me personally, I go to bed somewhere around 11:30, 11:40 on a regular night, and I get up at 6:10. Yeah, I work out a lot, and then I'm in bed 6.5 to 7 hours a night, sometimes less than 6.5. That's all I need. I'm a physical freak. I can recover from a lot of exertion and sleep very little. The time that I actually spend asleep on an average night is between like 3 and 5 hours ish, and anywhere within there it varies a lot. And I can do that and still recover from working out a lot and still have a lot of energy throughout the day and still be able to think properly. I recommend setting a very strict wake-up time. The time that you go to sleep does not actually need to be exact. The time that I go to sleep can vary like 10, sometimes even like 20 minutes a day. It doesn't matter because stuff comes up through your day. You need to do this for work. You need to do that for your family. the time that you go to bed can vary because it doesn't require as much discipline to go to bed as it does to wake up. But you cannot get into the habit of hearing your alarm and rolling over and sleeping more unless your body actually needs more sleep, unless you're sick or something like that. I recommend basing the time that you spend in bed on how much sleep you actually need, and do try to optimize the actual sleep so you're not spending like 3 extra hours in bed that aren't sleep that you could just chop off. I used to spend 8 hours in bed a night, and then I realized that most of that wasn't sleep, so I chopped off an hour and a half. Now I have an hour and a half more to do things. I actually spend more time asleep now because there's less empty rest that just went to keep my thoughts rambling and keep me awake. So to sum up, sleeping only as much as you need to and forcing yourself awake and out of bed the moment you hear your alarm is good advice. That works. That will make you better. It doesn't matter what time you do it at. It matters that you do it. And if you think that doing it at a specific time, doing it at an earlier time than what other regular people do it at, regular people as if you're not one of them, makes you better than other people, you're not feeding your growth. You're feeding your ego.